My name is Kyle Steele. I'm a candidate for Norman City Council, Ward 6 in the upcoming election cycle, and this is a summary for the City Council Conference that happened on November 25th, 2025. As usual, timestamps to every important part in the video is going to be linked down below, along with the agenda packet for those who wish to see that. The main bulk of this meeting was spent discussing a potential contract with the Norman Economic Development Coalition, or NEDC. For a quick history lesson, the NEDC was created in 1996. It was designed to promote economic development and expand the economic base from the city of Norman. It was essentially a partnership between the city of Norman, OU, and the Chamber of Commerce at the time. The agreement has been changed a few times over the years in terms of like language and the amount that the city particularly contributes over time. But the current proposed contract is that the city pays approximately $130,000 per year to the coalition, or about $1 per resident of Norman. Now, recently, the NEDC has rebranded to the Cleveland County Economic Development Coalition, essentially expanding to include all of Cleveland County, not just Norman, but for all intents and purposes, it still has the same kind of mission statement and scope, just with Cleveland County instead of just Norman. Now, there was a lot of back and forth on the city council on this. There's no kind of beating around the bush with that. If you are kind of curious about that back and forth, I highly recommend you watch the link part in the video below, because that took up well over half of this meeting. It's essentially clear that some council members are for this agreement, some council members are against it, and others, you know, they're kind of on the fence, but they're concerned about the transparency side of things. You know, essentially there's concerns that since it's the Cleveland County Economic Development Coalition, that Norman's role in this is going to be diluted and it's not going to be a good return on investment. There's also concerns that the city might de facto be getting double billed because Cleveland County is already paying into this. Norman's part of Cleveland County, therefore, you know, shouldn't we already have a seat through the Cleveland County payment, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, I highly recommend people watch the back and forth or the questions that were raised during the conference, because it was a good conversation. You know, no beating around the bush about that. On that note, however, there is no kind of action item. This was just like a discussion, and city staff is going to have to continue to talk with the CCEDC about this potential contract. So if you have any kind of opinions on the CCEDC, and if you think that Norman should be paying, you know, to be a part of this coalition, contact your city council member, because this isn't resolved yet, and it is coming back here fairly quickly, it sounds like. The final topic in the meeting was discussed over the Norman Economic Development Authority, you know, not to be confused with the NEDC or the CCEDC. The Norman Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, it's a public trust for the city that primarily serves as a vehicle for potential economic development and investments in the city of Norman. Historically, this trust hasn't really been used much, and what was being discussed is how NEDA might be used going forward, so the city could get more use out of it, you know, whether that's kind of giving it startup funds, like potentially the $130,000 a year to NEDA instead of the CCEDC, or if it's going to just kind of be used as a trust to hold on to certain land and debt obligations and things of that nature. But that being said, that was essentially, the meeting was a very quick one because the city council meeting was coming up. So thank you all for making it to the end of this video. Any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to me at KyleForNorman.com. Thank you. Have a good evening.